Today is Thursday, February 11, 2021. We are here for a work session. As always, we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Can you, Catherine, can you please take the lead? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Catherine. We have a few announcements today. On Monday, I was pleased to have delivered the State of the Town address, and you can view it on Channel 22 and on the town's website, and you'll also be able to see on the town's website a full transcript. We have a bright future. We've accomplished a tremendous amount we've had a tremendous amount of accomplishments this year, and we're going to keep on moving forward together as a board. As you likely know by now, the distribution of the COVID-19 is underway across the entire United States. It is controlled by the governor. He himself receives the vaccinations, and he will distribute the vaccines, and we are in the process of trying to get our share in the East End. Residents may call 833-697-4829, or you can visit the website www.covid19vaccine.health.ny.gov. I know it's very long, however, we also will have it on our website. In addition, members of our senior community may call the Riverhead Senior Assistance Hotline at 631-727-3200, extension 653 on Tuesdays and Thursdays between the hours of 9:30 and 12:30 for assistance on vaccines, how to register online, and possible and senior transportation when the vaccines become available. In the meantime, please be vigilant and follow the CDC and the Department of Health guidelines, and follow the 3 W's as we use here in Riverhead. Wear your mask, watch your distance, and wash your hands. Okay, moving forward to our first discussion item, Chief Hagamello will present his January crime report. Chief, can you please come forward?
I just wanted to say one thing. I just wanted to say thank you to the children at Aquabog Elementary School who made a giant box of Valentines that they sent over to our senior department for the seniors in the community.
Yes,
It was really sweet.
it was very, very sweet. Chief?
Good morning.
Morning, Chief.
Hopefully everyone's received a copy of their report.
Yes, we have.
So it appears to be that we're trending the same way we ended up last year trending. Everything is still down. The only thing that is up is criminal incidents, which encompasses basically just larcenies and criminal mischiefs.
And these are non-violent crimes.
That's correct.
Okay.
So it's going to be interesting to see, I think, once we hit, we're still comparing last January to this January. We weren't in COVID yet, so once we get into COVID, it's going to be interesting to see how those numbers play out. But that's basically it on the report, unless anyone has any questions.
No, I'm glad the numbers are still down.
Great job.
We do have some good news on the part-time academy front. Hopefully, maybe next month it'll be starting. And we have about...
Suffolk or Nassau?
Suffolk.
Suffolk, good.
Suffolk, right. So,
Part-time, what about full-time?
Yeah, no, I think it may be right after that.
Good.
Is what they're saying, so. Hopefully that'll happen. We have probably about half a dozen candidates that we can send to the part-time school. So.
I have a quick question about the lady who had the accident on Sound Avenue. Does anybody know the status of her?
I do not know that, but I can check.
No, I was just curious if you knew off the top of your head.
Yeah, I know she was airlifted to Stony Brook, but that was about it.
And I want to thank our PD and all our emergency response and our highway departments, because we've had quite a few snow days. And I know that they've been there for us, taking care of all of us.
Yes.
Doing a good job, for sure.
Snow clearing has been great here.
It has.
It really, really has.
Yeah, the roads look pretty good now, so.
When's the next storm?
I didn't even know we were getting one
Right,
today.
right.
You gotta ask daily now because it seems like we're getting pummeled.
No, I don't.
Nothing on the
I don't-
immediate
I
horizon?
see one on the horizon, so.
Good.
The only thing is gonna stay cold for the next few days, so it's not gonna disappear anytime soon.
Which is gonna make the road icy, so everybody's gotta go slow.
Right. Reduce your speed.
And in another month, we'll see a bright future.
Thanks, Chief.
Good.
Okay.
All right,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Be safe. All right, moving forward. Jeff? And we have, our next discussion will be on our head planner, Jeff Murphy, a draft of public outreach plans for the comprehensive plan.
Thanks, sir.
Jeff, is that online?
Yes, that is.
Perfect, thank you.
I'm used to passing out.
Okay. Nah. How many did you pass in your lifetime? Millions?
Multiplied by 38 years.
Good morning. Contrary to what the nameplate says, I am not Diane Wilhelm. Good morning, everybody. I'm Jefferson Murphy, head of the
Good morning.
Building and Planning Department. How are you today?
Good.
Morning, Jeff.
Everything that I'm going to talk about today has been posted on the website.
Good.
First and foremost, our website was in dire need of updating, and when you go to our town website main page under quick links, the comprehensive plan was listed. That was the 2003 adopted plan. So we now have moved that link over under the planning department, and we've identified it as being the 2003 adopted comprehensive plan. Under quick links, you will see comprehensive plan update. And when you click on that link, you will see a whole bunch of drop-down material, beginning with an introduction as to what the comprehensive plan is and its purpose and importance. Also included are the bios of the two planning consultants, AKRF and LK McLean Associates. Also included is a draft hamlet boundary map, an updated zoning map. Our zoning map on our GIS has not been updated since 2015, so we've been due diligence trying to update that up to current date. Also included is the Central Advisory Committee membership list, the PowerPoint, which you've previously seen and heard last year. In case members of the public have not been able to see it, it's now posted on the website. And the draft public outreach plan, which is what I just handed out to you today, that's also available to the public on the website. So I want to just give you a brief update in terms of where we are with the process of preparing the update. I know a lot of members of the public are expressing their desire to engage the consultant, and we're not quite there yet. And I want to give you an update as to where we are today and when we are actually going to be reaching out to the community and to the residents of the town, because that's an integral part of the whole planning process. Under public engagement, we have the AKRF, our planning consultant, has been interviewing all of the department heads in the town, as well as outside agencies. Second part of their effort has been the creation of the Central Advisory Committee, and the membership list is included on the website. One of the concerns and criticisms that we received is that this has not included the public. And this list, when you take a look at it, is composed of key people in each of the respective industries, if you want to call it an industry, or subjects. And just to give you an example of what the subject areas are, agriculture, government relations, real estate, economic development, education, schools and community facilities, healthcare, parks, recreation and our seniors, natural resources, public safety, community development, water resources, and legal. One of the concerns that we have received in writing was that this committee was too top-loaded towards commercial and real estate development interests. Only 2 representatives on this committee represent the real estate and commercial interests. So it is, we believe, a well-balanced list. There are certainly some more that we have been speaking about adding. For example, somebody from the housing sector and somebody representing our lower income and minority communities. We are a diverse community in Riverhead, and they deserve to be representative and have a voice at the table. We are currently preparing the public community survey. This is right now it consists of approximately 25 questions. It would take about 15 minutes to complete. We are expected to go live with it in mid-March. Mid-March is only right around the corner. So we are well underway with getting that out. And we'd like to get that live and out to the community before we schedule the community meetings. We plan on engaging the residents of the towns through Zoom community meetings within the different hamlets. There are 11 hamlets in Riverhead. That's quite a big number. We are actually going to be combining some of the different hamlets together because of similar interests in geographic locations. And we plan to start those in the second to third week in March and have it extended through mid-April. And by the time the public survey will be online and live. And the last thing that we're going to be doing in terms of public engagement is that we are going to be creating subcommittees. And by subcommittees, let me just find the section for you. Again, these are going to be subgroups based upon important issues that have been identified as being important in the comprehensive plan. The first one would be environment and sustainability. The second effort would be farmland preservation. And by the way, the membership on those two groups alone currently stands to be more than half of the subcommittee members' totality. So the importance of environmental sustainability and farmland preservation is by far one of the most important things that we're going to be reviewing as part of the comprehensive plan. The next group would be under transportation. The next group would be Route 58. As you know, that Route 58, we have a number of vacancies along the corridor. The real estate market has changed dramatically in the last few years, and it will continue to go forward. We don't want to see big box vacant buildings along Route 58. So the Route 58 subcommittee is going to be a really critical committee. And the last group would be housing, seniors, and community engagement. So that's where we are today. That's where we're headed. And the one thing I would ask with the residents of the town, if they have any issues or concerns, that they reach out either to myself or to the supervisor's office, and not to reach out to the planning consultant directly. It's really important that we all get the information disseminated universally, and that we're all involved in the data collection. So my contact information is on the website, and everybody knows how to reach the supervisor and all of you, so we're here to listen. So happy to answer any questions you may have.
Well, this is refreshing that we have the community involved, and they will be an integral part of this process. Do we have an expected date of completion, possibly? This is going to take, what, a year, 18 months, 2 years?
I expect it's going to take a year from this point forward.
1 year?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's just to get the initial draft of the plan out, not to completion, because after we get to the draft, we have to then do the secret process, which is the generic environmental impact statement. That will take some time to do. Once we complete that, then we come back and finalize the plan. But just to get the initial draft document completed to your table, we're looking at approximately 1 year.
Okay, and we need to make sure that the farming community is involved, Frank?
Absolutely, yeah.
And
Frank, you're on the
obviously
committee, so.
our seniors, and we need to ensure that we keep the public. Is most of the documents going to go online as they're generated?
Yes, everything
Okay.
that I've mentioned today is on the website today. Anything going forward, we're going to post on the website, and that's why I had it listed under quick links on our website. So if you click on our webpage, you'll see a comp plan update. Click on that, and it'll be a drop-down menu of all the documents. The one thing we got to do, and Chip doesn't know this yet, when you do a Google search for comp plan, it only comes up to the 2003 update. So we got to do some sort of Google link to direct the public to the update and not the 2003 plan. But I'm going to defer that to his knowledge and expertise.
Just want to confirm, projects that are currently in the works, that are before you in the building department, are not affected by this and are not delayed pending an update for a master plan, right? They move forward based on the current plan, is that correct?
That is correct. There's no moratorium in place.
Okay, thank you.
So I have a couple questions.
Sure.
I always thought, it's my understanding that we establish a committee by resolution. You know, when we've done other committees, as I recall, first we had a resolution establishing the committee and what categories would be included in the group, and then we voted on a resolution with the committee members. So I'm just wondering why we didn't do this by resolution.
And that's certainly at the discretion of the board. This is an ad hoc advisory committee. It's not a permanent committee, unlike some of the other committees that we have in the town. They have a limited role, a focus goal, and a time frame to complete that. Once they've completed their task, then they dissolve.
Well, I know the downtown committee is the same, I don't, that's.
I don't believe that they're ad hoc, though.
They're not,
They're not temporary.
Yeah, they're not.
They're like the
Bob,
environmental committee,
Don't
that
we
sort of thing.
usually establish committees by resolution?
I can't answer that. I'd have to look at all the committees and see how we've done it. I don't know off the top of my head if it's always by resolution or if it's been some by resolution, some by otherwise. I don't know.
Okay, I don't know, I'm going by since I've been in office, we've established all committees by resolution, so that we ratify it.
I don't think there's an issue if we went to resolution. It's just
Right.
another, just a step that if you're comfortable doing it, that's fine.
Yeah,
I'm
formality,
comfortable
really,
doing
yeah.
that.
It doesn't really seem.
Yeah, if the board so desires to do it, and there's unanimous, or, members of the boards that want to do that, we can prepare a resolution.
One of the things, people approach us about things too, I'm sure they've approached my council mates. People have approached me with concerns about residency on the committee. I guess they thought there were quite a few people that didn't reside in Riverhead.
Again, if there's a key stakeholder on the group, and I don't want to speak about individual ones, because I don't know who's a town resident or who's not. If they have expertise in that area, we want the best, most knowledgeable person in that area, whichever subject we're talking about, whether it's education, healthcare, real estate, whatever it is, we want the best person on that committee that knows that area in Riverhead.
And Jeff, we didn't pick our consultants based on residency either, right? I mean,
No.
just on their expertise.
That is
No,
correct.
well, we only got we looked at 2 companies, and, neither of them were Riverhead companies.
Okay.
Yeah, that-
I was on the committee that
There are
selected the group.
there are no
Oh.
planning firms with that
You
expertise in
put
the
out an
town of
RFP,
Riverhead.
and we only got 2 companies that responded.
As far as I know, there's only one planner in the town of Riverhead that would have that expertise, and that would be me.
well, you definitely know town.
Well, certainly, the process is community-driven,
Absolutely.
and, we do have a lot of, experts in our community. So just wondering, you said hamlets might be combined.
Uh-huh.
Which hamlets are you looking to combine?
I don't know if I brought the list with me. And Tim, I don't mean to throw you under the bus. Tim and I worked on this together because Tim is a born and raised resident here. He knows the community better than I do. So we worked on it together. I don't know, I don't think we had the list together, Catherine. I apologize, I don't have that with me today.
Okay, so you.
It
I
was-
can get that for you.
It was basically going to be done logistically, like say Aquaborg and Northville may be combined together in terms of being very similar, very closely related, both on the map and in farmland preservation, that type of thing. That's how they were going to be combined, and it really only combined, it was going to be smaller ones. It wasn't going to be larger hamlets.
No.
Like mixed in together.
Right, well, that would be my
Like
concern.
Fading Hollow and Calverton would be put together.
Right,
you know.
because each of the hamlets do have different issues, and I want to be, I want to make sure that everyone gets their opportunity to bring up their issues from within their hamlet. And certainly, I want to make sure that we address environmental issues, and the people from the Peconic Estuary
Oh,
Program
yeah.
reached out to me. They were very active in the South Hold
Yep.
master plan update, and they would be more than happy to work with us and, give us
Yep.
their expertise
When you
in that area as well.
When you take a look at the subcommittee I mentioned about environmental sustainability, it's well represented by a lot of these organizations: Pine Barren Society, Group for the East End, Nature Conservancy, North Fork Environmental Council, Peconic Land Trust, Peconic Estuary Program, the Environmental Committee, and the Conservation Advisory Council, so,
Okay, good. Well, Joyce Novak from Peconic Estuary is a great resource.
okay.
That's, congratulations, that's a really good list put together right there.
Wow, very comprehensive.
Yeah, very comprehensive, and I see that you're doing a great job, and great.
So I got to tell you, environmental sustainability is a critical part going forward, because it's not just the environment, it drives economic development.
Right.
So the two are dovetail hand in hand.
So this study is coming to a hamlet near you.
Yeah, that's the slogan, that's a good one.
There you go.
And we're going to keep you updated when the dates are identified. We're going to let everybody know immediately. We're going to be doing, press releases, reaching out to various newspapers, TV, radio, that sort of thing, so that they're well attended. Unfortunately, we have to do it via Zoom. I've never done that before. All the other meetings I've had with Hamlet meetings, they've been face-to-face. So that's unfortunate, and hopefully within the next year, we can start going out to the community and having face-to-faces.
Jeff, speak to Chip, he'll guide you through it, he'll set up Chip will set up the meetings,
yeah.
the Zoom meetings, he's very proficient in that.
Yeah.
And we've been holding a tremendous amount of meetings through Zoom. While it's not the preferred method, it is working, we are able to communicate, so
Yeah.
you should not have a problem along those lines.
And if any members of the community group want to invite me out to one of their meetings, I've been out to Wading River, I have not been invited to any other group, I'll be happy to come out and meet with them.
All right.
And
well-
how will you do the audience from the hamlet? How will you determine?
That's a great question. This
the
is, I
audience for the
hate to say,
Zoom
we're
meeting?
kind of stumbling along with with the Zoom technology and the COVID. Because trying to get out to people, the communities that may not have access to it and trying to get them together, maybe at a church or a community facility and have a satellite facility there. I got to work that out with the consultants.
Yeah, I just don't know how many people you can have in it, but there must be some way that you can have some kind of public forum where different people get to speak.
But you can also.
You can have hundreds of people, right, because right now, tomorrow, I have a code class, and it's going to be through the Department of State in Albany, and they have 400, last class I had, they had 400 people attend.
And you can do a hybrid combination.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Well, I feel better. You're saying you can do up to 100. All right.
People within their particular hamlet, like email into you questions and that they would be answered during.
Yep.
Like, so different civic groups and so forth can prepare a list of questions.
Exactly.
And then on that particular, anyone that maybe sent you a question in advance, you could simply read them off and then maybe publish that afterwards.
That's a great
as well.
idea.
And I think that would be helpful too for people that are not able to attend. They could send their question, and I really do hope you have these in the evening.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, they're not going to be held during the day. And then the other thing, I think it's a great idea that if the civics are listening now, they start reaching out to members of their organization
Sure.
and start formulating and summarizing what their issues and questions are now, so that when we come out to them, they're better prepared to be a participant at the meeting. And if they have any questions about that, my extension is 239.
So they'll get advance notice to
Oh,
the
yeah,
date
yeah.
so that they can meet and formulate questions.
Yep,
And Jeff, we can also do a combination, we've been doing a combination where we have some key players in the room, and then we send out a Zoom link, and they do provide questions to us. I know
So-
that I've met with 2 civic groups recently, and it was very, very effective. So we can do a hybrid combination, and
Yep.
it's been effective.
yep.
It's something to consider. Great.
We're limited to what, 22 in this room?
25,
25?
yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
So-
that would be a great way to actually do it.
Yeah, if you could have one member of each of the organizations
Right
here. or
here,
something.
and then the members can be on Zoom.
Yep,
Perfect.
all right,
Thanks, Jeff.
Great, thank you.
thank you.
Good start, exciting. Okay, Greg, he'll present matters concerning SECRA, determination for 133-139 Railroad Avenue Plaza. Greg, can you please come forward?
All right, we're doing the Railroad Avenue Plaza first.
Yes, that's what I have on our list.
Just gotta go back to Crown Castle too.
Although, which
Yeah.
one, do you want to go on to the next one, the special permit?
It's up to you. I mean, the agenda lists the Crown Castle
Okay,
one
let's
first.
stay with the Crown Castle.
All right, good morning, Board. We've got a brief update on the Crown Castle Tower Consolidation Project, which, as you recall, is a special permit and site plan application which was submitted to the Town Board. The application proposes to construct a new 120-foot tall monopole wireless communications tower and associated ground level equipment on a parcel located on the east side of Fresh Pond Avenue. This application was somewhat unique in its proposal in that it proposed to remove 2 existing towers which are currently operational and in use on Fresh Pond Avenue. And essentially, it would reduce the overall number of towers within the town of Riverhead. The town board did classify the action as a type 1 action pursuant to SECRA, and initiated a coordinated review in July of 2020. And then the town board subsequently assumed lead agency and issued a negative declaration pursuant to SECRA in October of 2020. Completing that SECRA process allowed the applicant to then move forward with their zoning board of appeals application. The application approval of it did require relief from the zoning board for proposed non-conforming side yard and rear yard tower setbacks. That side yard setback was proposed at 81 feet 1 inch, where 120 feet is required, and that rear yard setback was 72 feet 11 inches, where 120 feet is required. The applicant did make the application, and they did receive the necessary relief from the Zoning Board of Appeals by appeal number 2020-038, granted in a reserved decision dated January 14th, 2021. Now, the ZBA appeal was granted with a very specific condition that the applicant must provide covenants and restrictions in a form satisfactory to the board, meaning the zoning board, which covenants and restrictions shall be recorded against the properties on which the applicant maintains 2 wireless communications towers and will run with the land and will preclude the reconstruction of the pre-existing wireless communications towers in conformity with the applicant's application and the attendant secret determination. Now, that was a condition imposed because Dawn Thomas, who represents the zoning board, felt that there could be a situation in the future whereby these 2 towers that the applicant was proposing to remove could actually be reestablished under the town code. So this was really the only way to ensure conformity with the applicant's representation that they're going to remove the towers, would be the filing of covenants on those properties. Now that those covenants and restrictions would effectively encumber the 2 properties where those towers currently exist, that condition would be carried through all relevant approvals, including the special permit and the site plan, and those covenants would need to be filed prior to the issuance of any building permit for the new tower. So now that the applicant has obtained the necessary relief from the zoning board, the town board is able to now further process this application, so I have prepared a resolution that will schedule a public hearing for the special permit application, and that date for the hearing would be March 16th, 2021. So really quick update, just to bring the board up to speed. The next step, we'll have a public hearing, and then we can further process it.
Just got a question. So you have 2 existing towers. Does the permit establish a time frame for when the other 2 towers must come down after the completion of this one, that it's not a process that there'll be 3 towers there for an extended period of time?
Well, so that is one of the sequencing questions. The applicant has stated that they would be willing to post bonds. Obviously, in order to maintain coverage in that area, they would really need to construct the new tower, have that ready to go, then remove the 2 existing towers. In filing the covenants on those 2 pieces of property, though, the timing, the sequencing of that would be ensured. You know, if they're going to file covenants on those 2 properties and post the necessary bonds to facilitate the removal of them, we would be assured that those towers would be removed, and we would not have a situation where we now have 3 towers in that area.
Along with Ken's question, is there any formal condemnation of those that we make after the structure goes up?
By formal condemnation, do you mean?
So that they couldn't, like you said before, have a pre-existing use, pre-existing non-conforming use with the other ones down the road.
Well, that's what the covenants and restrictions would capture, and
Okay.
those would need to be reviewed back to the zoning board. And those covenants would effectively acknowledge that they have these pre-existing towers and memorialize that the removal of these would happen and that they would not be reestablished.
What are the adjacent properties to these towers?
There is a vacant parcel which is located directly to the east. There is a neighboring residential parcel to the north, and there is a commercial property to the south. I know the neighboring residential property to the north, they were present and they did speak at one of the numerous zoning board of appeals hearings. The proposed tower did actually maintain the required 120-foot setback to that northern property line. I know that neighboring resident did ask questions about any additional vegetation removal. There is a pretty nice, healthy buffer on the neighbor's parcel of existing trees, which would help screen the development. So that neighboring resident obviously was informed of it. They did see the application. They did speak on it through the zoning board process.
So the neighboring residents were concerned about the setbacks, the screening,
Correct.
and those were all of their concerns?
They did have questions. They noted PSEG power lines, and basically the RF frequency from the proposed cell tower. They did raise questions about any potential negative health impacts. The applicant, as we did state earlier in this review, I believe the proposed percentage, and this is all stated in relation to FCC guidelines. They establish a maximum permissible exposure level on a scale, 100% scale. I believe it was somewhere in the neighborhood of like 6.5% of the MPE levels if this facility were to be operating at 100% capacity, which, as the applicant stated, doesn't really happen at all when everything's kind of firing on all cylinders. But in a worst-case scenario, they use a conservative estimate. I think it was about 6.5% of the maximum MPE. So it fully complies with any FCC regulations, fully complies with the requirements of the town code.
So all the concerns were addressed?
Yeah, and
Okay.
the applicant did receive the relief from the zoning board, so the zoning board was satisfied through the pendency of the hearing, and all the comments were received, so.
And the residents were satisfied with the information that they were given?
Yeah.
And I'm assuming that the residential area was there prior to those other towers?
I don't know the timing of when that house was constructed. I know the existing towers were built sometime in the 90s. They predated our current wireless code, but again, the neighboring resident was informed. They were present at the ZBA. They did speak on it. They will obviously be one of the parties that are notified when we go to schedule the public hearing, so
It's one resident.
there is one resident.
okay.
Only one.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay, and the concerns were addressed? Great, okay, we'll have the public hearing. Are you gonna schedule it?
Yeah, I do have a resolution in Minitrack which would post and publish the notice of the public hearing.
Great. Everyone okay with that, moving
Yes.
forward, the resolution? Great, thank you, Greg. In that regard, we're a busy person here today. All right, moving forward, Greg will present matters surrounding SECR, the termination for 133, 139 Railroad Avenue. So the crown is gone.
All right, so again, we just have a
Hello again.
yes. Good to see you. It's been a while. So this is a brief update on an existing project, just to give the board an update in terms of SECR and some of the comments that have been received in the review of the project. What we have is a site plan application which is proposing facade improvements to an existing commercial building, as well as a change of use of an individual tenant space which was previously used as a bar tavern known as the Loose Caboose. And it would change that to a retail use of a grocery supermarket type use. The site plan also proposes drainage improvements, lighting, and parking lot restriping throughout the project. This project site is located at 133 through 139 Railroad Avenue. It is located within the Riverhead Historic District, as well as the Railroad Avenue Urban Renewal Area. The Railroad Avenue Urban Renewal Area places the site plan application within the jurisdiction of the town board rather than the planning board. With regards to SECR, the application is a type 1 action due to its location within the Riverhead Historic District. The planning department initiated a coordinated SECR review among involved agencies, and we did not receive any objections to the town board acting as lead agency for the purposes of SECR review. Staff has prepared a resolution for the town board to assume lead agency and issue a negative declaration pursuant to SECR, as the proposed facade improvements and site improvements on this site pose no negative foreseeable impacts to the surrounding area. The town board completing the SECR process on this application will allow the zoning board of appeals to act on their pending application, which is a parking variance application. Just to recap some of the comments, the application was reviewed by the Landmarks Preservation Commission. Just to kind of summarize their findings, the LPC found that the building was likely constructed in the 1920s or 1930s. The building does have a letter of pre-existing use, which confirms that it was built prior to 1965 when the town enacted zoning and issuing building permits and CFOs. The LPC noted that the one significant feature is the crenellated parapet, which is a characteristic which was typical of this area. The crenellated parapet can be seen in Figure 2 of my staff report. For lack of a better phrase, it's almost like that kind of castle look on the top of the building. The LPC believes that this is a much-needed renovation and important to upgrading that portion of the downtown, and the LPC approved the plans with two exceptions, that the existing parapet is one significant historic element which should either be retained or replicated, and following the LPC's standard approval practice in the downtown historic district, the siding in the rear portions of the building they recommend should be hardy plank as opposed to vinyl siding, which is currently proposed as. The application was also reviewed by the Architectural Review Board. The Architectural Review Board had a wide range of comments, which I've summarized on page 4 of my staff report. The ARB did request material samples of the materials being used. That's a standard request from the board. They requested details of the proposed awning. One of the members recommended adding a cast stone or other similar design element to the bottom of the windows. Concerns were raised about future illegal signs being placed in the windows due to the quantity of glass on that storefront. Now I did speak with Councilwoman Kent about this, and she reached out to code enforcement. There are requirements in our town code about the number of window signs that can be utilized in a business. I believe it was restricted to 25% of that window space. So that's really a code enforcement issue to be addressed if they would violate. I don't know that it's appropriate to kind of assume someone's going to violate a town code. There were concerns raised about the quantity of glass on the front elevation being potentially inappropriate for the proposed uses. I think that question would require a little bit of clarification. As we know, the only reason this is in for a site plan application is because of the exterior facade improvements. Tenants for a retail space can change frequently. They would need a use permit application from the building department, but it's not something that would necessarily trigger any sort of facade improvements. So I mean, talking about catering the facade of the building to the specific uses when they could change somewhat frequently, kind of would hold up the process a little bit. I'm not sure how we would really tie that in. There was a recommendation that was made to incorporate the design of the building with the uses of the retail space. Again, I'm not really clear on what that comment meant. There were concerns raised about the number of signs on the proposed elevations not matching the number of retail spaces. That's an easy fix. I believe the applicant can just remove one of those signs. And one significant comment, they said that the ARB informed the applicant that additional landscaping was needed. The applicant explained the constraints of the site due to the size and the parking requirements. The board didn't really take too much credence to that. They said they does not remove the need for landscaping. Now again, we have this site plan application is somewhat unique in its review in that the building itself has a letter of pre-existing use, but the site itself has never undergone any sort of site plan review, either from the planning board or town board. So it kind of falls into this unique little crevice where the building lawfully pre-exists, but the site improvements don't. Now, if we were looking at a site plan application to develop a vacant piece of property, we would absolutely say, yes, you know what, you need to comply with landscaping requirements, you would have to provide screening, street trees, stuff like that. But on a piece of property here that we have where the building lawfully pre-exists, the building on its frontage is right up to that property line on Railroad Avenue, meaning right in front of that you have an existing sidewalk within the town right-of-way, and there are two rather large trees. I'm not really sure where you could actually fit any landscaping on this property that would, really serve any aesthetic purposes, aside from removing area that they need for parking, which, as we've stated, the applicant does have a zoning board of appeals. They are technically underparked, and that will come back to the board for a further review and comment to that, but.
Yeah, you'd actually have to bust up the sidewalk and curbing to put landscaping there.
Did they have a specific recommendation? I can't even imagine landscaping there. It's
Yeah.
right
That's kind of where I was
Yeah.
kind of getting at. You know, again, if we were looking at a vacant site where you didn't have an existing building right up to the sidewalk, you could meet setbacks, you know, the site would be designed to be in conformance. But being that this is an existing site, as I said, the building is probably close to 90 or 100 years old. I'm not really sure where landscaping would go or to what end it would really kind of achieve any
Right.
Yeah, I
aesthetic
think if
purpose.
there were space there, it's a great
Yeah.
idea, but the building comes right up to the sidewalk.
Yeah.
But as you said, you know, you've got the sidewalk, do we rip up the sidewalk, take up public right-of-way? You know, I don't know what utilities are in that right-of-way that might need to be relocated to facilitate, you know, some landscaping. And I mean, for all intents and purposes, you know, I believe everyone's familiar with this section of town. You know, the town board recently adopted the Railroad Avenue Urban Renewal Overlay District. I mean, we are actively trying to incentivize revitalization in this area. You know, being that this applicant is proposing to improve this building light years beyond what it currently exists, proposing to get vacancies filled with businesses, you know, I think the board, you know, has some leeway in kind of really, you know, doing the right thing by this project and doing the right thing by the property.
Yeah, this section of buildings has been blighted for
Many
such a long time, and any improvement we can get to, and I really do like the drawings on the page
Yeah, the
with the
proposed
signs, with
facade is
the
really nice.
overhead lights, really, it really looks good, and it'll be the first step in what we need to make major improvements down on Railroad Avenue, so I totally support this.
Yeah, Greg, I just have a question concerning, if you look at the diagram, I believe that's a garage that was built?
Correct. The garage and the detached garage, it's a cement block structure. That building also does have a letter of pre-existing use.
Oh, it does.
Now, when it came up, I did note that the applicant did install, they kind of connected that without any sort of permits, so the applicant is going to remove that. I've informed the applicant's engineer a number of times that structure needs to be removed. That would change their parking requirements. It would, you know, they've agreed that they're going to remove that, and that will be made a condition if the board approves it, that structure needs to be demolished in accordance with any approved plans.
And this is exciting to see this in this area. The overlay district is helping, and we've had quite a few interests in that area.
Yeah, I was gonna say, there's
Yeah, there's a
one
lot
or two
of-
projects I know that
Yes.
are looking.
Yes,
Good.
nothing certain yet, but people are, they're placing interest in this area, and that's, let's thank the CDA for getting the grant to complete the overlay district, and things are looking really good in that area also. Thank you, Greg. Oh, Catherine?
So just a couple of things. On the glass, what they were talking about, I think you guys will know what they're talking about. A lot of times stores or businesses will plaster a whole bunch of paper posters and things. Sometimes we've had problems with people putting things about, not that this business would do that, but vaping things and just, you know, different. And ARB looks at signs and talks about signs a lot. So I did talk with Greg about this yesterday and explained they were concerned about that. But then I did go down and talk to Code, who, as Greg said that they're not allowed to put more than 25% glass coverage with paper signs, and that they can write violations for that if they go beyond that. And just as far as the landscaping in the front, I mean, I am looking at the picture, and maybe at some point we can get some kind of grant and do stuff with the sidewalk, because if you look closely, the sidewalks and the curbs and such look really terrible here. And this is an area that I'm very excited that we're, you know, getting some resurgence into this area, and that someone's coming in to work on this building. And we are sprucing up this area right across the street. We did all that landscaping at the train station. So, you know, maybe at some point if we could redo the sidewalks, I don't know what else they could do for landscaping. I could ask ARB to take a look at these pictures and clarify. But certainly there's cleaning up that could be done here as far as that's concerned. And I'd love to see us do something better with the sidewalks at some point in the future.
Those two trees staying?
Yes, I mean, those two trees, there's no proposals to remove them. They are in the town right-of-way. I did kind of present that to the applicant, you know, if they would be amenable to replacing those trees. I mean, those trees are a pretty decent size. They could be maybe maintained a little bit just to give some exposure to the building, you know, cut the cut the lower branches off just so that you can see some of that facade. But again, you'd be talking about removing those trees. It would disturb the sidewalk, the curbing, potentially any utilities that those root systems are, growing into. So, I mean, that's something, if the board likes to, we could, speak about that with the applicant.
At some point, I think that would be nice. And also, I do want to say that the pattern book actually has a lot of great ideas and illustrations. Jeff, am I correct? Where they talk about the amenity zone, and one thing they always show is like the Riverhead Florist Shop, how they have just an inviting area and they have planters out there. And there are things that if they're not able to do landscaping, there are certainly things that they are able to do with their business that would spruce up the front of the store and make it more inviting. So if you would think about maybe showing them the pattern book and those suggestions in there.
Well, I mean, the pattern book was reviewed and adopted for the DC1 zoning district. This property is located in the
Yes, I
DC3
know.
zoning district. So, I mean, we reviewed a set of, the company, the consulting firm that did the pattern book really looked specifically at DC1. There was no analysis that was done in this area, so I don't know if it's appropriate to apply something for a different zoning district to something that wasn't studied or wasn't analyzed. But I mean, we can make recommendation, the board.
Yeah, that's all I'm asking.
No.
Jeff, what are you saying? Jeff, you're familiar with the pages that I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you're a florist, why not bring some of your flowers and your plants to the outside? It lets people know what you're selling, so it's to their benefit also. And it's inviting, you're providing an attraction outside rather than just a blank wall and sidewalk, so.
And even with the signage and such, there's
Yep.
stuff in there with the signage and such. I just,
It's a good way of advertising and
Right.
without signs. And if you put a bench out in front, people are more inclined to visit and sit down. If it's like a coffee shop, you're gonna sit down and drink your coffee there. So you're inviting people to visit the place. It's not just a wall with a sign on it. So it's to their economic advantage as well as an aesthetic advantage.
maybe Brian could send this picture to the ARB, and they could specify what they were talking about, because when you're looking at the picture, you can see unless sidewalk is ripped up, that there's not room to do landscaping there.
Yep, and I will, I've spoken with the applicant about modifying the designs to retain that crenellated parapet. He is working on that, so we will just get a finalized set of plans showing the revisions, addressing the number of signs, requesting some, detailing the information that the ARB and the LPC requested. And we'll discuss that so I do have a resolution to assume lead agency and issue a negative declaration for this project, which again will allow the zoning board to act on their application. Then we can come back for a final wrap-up discussion and incorporate all the comments from all the different boards and agencies. And hopefully it will be to the satisfaction of the town board, and we can move this project along and get some revitalization happening in this area.
Sounds good, but there is one person on the ARB, Judy Barth has a background in landscape design, so maybe if you guys could send this to her, I think she was the one that made the comment.
All right.
Thank you.
Good, and it's always good to include aesthetics once you open up a facility.
It's necessary, yeah.
Great,
It's certainly going to be an improvement.
yes. All right, great, finally.
All right.
We're going to review the status of an amendment to chapter 301 regarding site plan fees. Greg?
All right, so this was something, I promise this one will be quick. This was something we had presented back to the board back in, I believe, October. Basically what it is there's kind of a small loophole in our site plan fee section. Right now, the way the code reads that it states that if any land clearing, site work, or building construction or alteration is commenced prior to the submission of a site plan application, the required application review fee shall be doubled as delineated in section 301, 305G2, and may exceed $30,000. Now, it may seem like a minor kind of semantic thing, but I believe it was important because technically, someone could make a site plan application to the planning department on a Friday afternoon, get it stamped in, show that they made the application, and then that weekend, if they went and cleared their property, the way the code reads, they have technically made that application, so we wouldn't be able to double that fee. Now, when this was presented to the board back in October, then Councilwoman Giglio had raised some concerns about exceptions if they needed to do like some minor clearing for boring samples or for other required agencies. So I did amend the code to include some exceptions where Basically, someone can apply for a certificate of exemption from the penalties if they're doing limited clearing for excavation or soil borings, provided that the clearing and the amount of material is limited to the amount required to obtain those boring samples, and that in order to obtain that certificate of exemption, they would need to submit a plan to the planning department showing where that clearing would take place.
Okay.
So this was really, this is a code revision that would capture, the bad actors in town, those who would kind of seek to do something without permits. This would not, it would not harm or it would not penalize those who do make applications in good faith. It's really just to kind of close that little loophole. So with the additions of the exemptions that we had spoken about, I do have a resolution to post and publish for a public hearing on this code amendment as well.
Great. And do we know what type of exceptions we're gonna have? I mean, do we have a list?
So really, it's,
Is it just basically based on your designation, or is there,
really, it would be for soil borings. Applicants need to do soil borings when they make their health department applications to establish the type of soils, depth of groundwater. Those kind of type of borings and that information, I know the health department does take a long time to review, so it really would be beneficial to an applicant if they could do that at the onset of the project, rather than go through a site plan process that could take 6 months to a year, then start that, which would probably tag on another 6 months to their review. So it would just allow someone to get the necessary information to adequately make that site plan application, really to assess subsurface soil conditions. And that would also tie into their drainage design, so.
right,
All right, this is not to penalize anybody who's making a good faith application. This would be to, stop someone from making that application and then going and clearing the land on a Sunday when there's, minimal code enforcement out, or do something.
We're not clearing 2 acres of land together.
Which has happened in the past.
just about to say that, Catherine. Yes, you
It
wake
has
up
happened, so
overnight, and what's
Yeah.
going on in that lot? What was there?
What lot?
What
What happened to all those trees? And this came out of code revision. Thank you, Greg, for your work.
Yes, that's a good job there.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good day.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, moving forward. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Greg. We're moving
Supervisor-
forward to our
Supervisor, if I
next
could just interrupt you?
discussion surrounding 2021 showmobile rates, and we're going to have,
If I can just interrupt, we're going to switch the order because Ken is still not here, so we're going to jump to the last item. If that's all right, Supervisor?
yeah, Recreation Department?
Correct. Yep.
Absolutely.
Well, they just got here in time.
Recreation Department, we have our head, Ray Coyne, who's here to present on matters surrounding new beach booths. Something that's very new, booths.
It's good.
I actually saw some of the pictures of it, and it's very well constructed.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning, guys.
Very well.
George is
constructed.
getting the pictures. We want to show you what the current beach booths look like.
Is this online?
I can't see it.
The photo?
Yeah, that's what we're going to give you.
No, she said, did you give it to them to put online?
Is it
Yes,
online?
I gave it to them.
Perfect. Devin?
Okay.
Yes, that's on.
Okay, perfect.
So I just want to start with that picture and tell you exactly, they've been around, that predates me, which is 15 years. It's got to be longer than that. It's got to be like 25, 30 years they've been there, and they're really breaking down, and the beach attendants really don't even use it anymore. They sit outside. So, yeah, I'll get that to you.
Thank you.
How many do we have?
We have 5 booths, 4 for the beaches and then 1 at the boat ramp.
Right.
Jamesport? Yes, the Jamesport boat ramp, correct.
And one at the,
Looks like you just took these pictures.
Actually, Jordan took them yesterday.
Because the snow
It's
is
still
there.
hot.
Doesn't look like a beach day.
yeah, it's still hot.
So what we're proposing to the town board is to, we've been working with the Buildings and Grounds Department to reconstruct, not reconstruct, but construct new beach booths. And what we've done at the beginning of this year is we moved all the beach stickers into our software system, so they are tracked on the RecPro software system. The residents can purchase it online now. Easy, they can do it from their phone, and everything is tracked within our system. So traditionally at the beach, we would sell them off the sticker books, and we keep a manual record of it. This what we're proposing now is to construct new beach booths, put power and Wi-Fi in there. We'll add laptops to it with our system on there, so we can sell the residents beach stickers in real time. And not only that, the new booths will be equipped with a door, a desk, and somewhere to sit, and we can lock the door. So this way, you know, it helps with the security of the money that we collect. So the costs for B&G, which they do a tremendous job, is about $10,000 to $11,000 per booth. $5,000 I think is from the power itself. And what we propose is the money that we use for the Reeves Beach bathroom, there's actually $42,000 left in that fund. And we're proposing just to take the rest of that fund, move it over, and then construct a beach booth. So it's not taxpayer money, it's park and recreation fee money. And we feel this will go a long way.
Will there be fees for Wi-Fi service? Like if somebody wanted to use the beach and then realized that you had Wi-Fi in the building?
That's what I was wondering.
Yeah, you can still use, the Wi-Fi would be for the whole beach too.
Yeah.
Or I was
'Cause
gonna
that's what
say,
they're doing.
otherwise they'll be standing up by the booth.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ken Test has done a great job. He's doing a lot of the legwork, meeting with Cablevision and the Power Authority we have to take the power and put it underneath, you know, from the building all the way to the booths. So it's a little bit of an endeavor, but we got a great department that's helping us out. So if it's okay, we'd like to move forward with that. And this way, and we're very proud of the beach stickers because now we don't have to look through all these books if something happens, like if the courts need proof of a beach sticker sale, we just type in the name and it prints up. And then I can, from my desk now, see exactly what's going on each beach, how many stickers we're selling. You know, if we're selling, you know, a lot of stickers at one location, we can send, hey, go down there and collect that money right now, bring it to the bank, versus before we would just have to wait for the beach managers to get there. So we feel it's time, you know, just to get into to modern technology, use it to our advantage, and that's what we're proposing.
Sounds like we're really changing with the times finally.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, we are.
Moving into the future in Riverhead.
You've
Yeah.
been doing a great job, and I want to thank you for the brochure and all the internet interactive virtual classes that you're
Are
holding.
you taking some? You can take some yoga classes or online.
Is that a hint? But I know that it's very well received, and you jumped up when we had a closed town hall, and you created virtual programs for both young and our youth, and you held some events with social distancing, and you
Yeah.
came up to the plate, and you keep going, and
We have a great team in recreation. They
yes,
really are.
and thank you for everything you do.
Thank you very much. So I could move forward with telling B&G, I'm going to wait for the resolution's going to come on the next town board meeting. It's just for transferring the money and setting up the project.
No problem. How do we feel?
Absolutely.
Ken?
100%.
Great
Ken?
idea.
Yeah.
Catherine?
I
Okay.
like
Yes, move
Good.
forward.
As
We look
always,
forward
thank you
to it.
very much.
Okay, be safe.
Take care.
Thank you.
Okay, lastly, we have engineering department. Are they here? We have Shannon and our... Okay.
I just have one quick question on that last, on Ray's proposal
Okay.
here. It's a great use of the funds that we didn't spend at Reeves Beach. I think it also, inside that booth, they can access everything. It's really good as far as Ray having access to everything so that our internal controls, as far as collecting money, it winds up that beefs up our internal controls and gives us more control over that. Just one thing that I have, I don't know if you got, that I have a question for Ray is, I don't know the cost of the Wi-Fi. I'm assuming the electricity is not going to be significant. All you're doing is powering up a Wi-Fi, is powering up the actual modem, but the Wi-Fi monthly, what the cost would be, so I can make sure we have it, and then obviously put it in next year's budget. So,
Yes,
Actually, can I get, if you don't mind, to answer that discussion
Yes.
yesterday regarding the tower and the Wi-Fi?
I'm not sure of the cost on the Wi-Fi. I'm not sure what we're paying in Jamesport. We have Wi-Fi now at Jamesport Beach. I think it's $30 or $40 a month.
do we have Dan? Is Dan here? Cuz, Bob, is Dan here? He works with our Wi-Fi?
Yeah, we put Wi-Fi in at South Jamesport Beach for the marina and for the public beach.
Okay.
And it's just a flat monthly fee for the cable service is all we're really paying. And we did the rest with the router, we own the router and everything. And I think it's under $100, like, I don't know the exact number, because we don't pay the bill. But it is under $100. And the electricity, 3 of the 4 locations, the electricity will come off the existing meter at those facilities.
Okay.
And then at the 4th facility, which is Iron Period Beach, I have to add a meter because the booth is too far away from the existing meter for me to reach it with wires. It's just too costly. So I'm going to put a new meter on a utility pole in the street. But the electric cost, estimated, it's going to be well under $100 a month. Most of the year, it's just going to be the flat rental fee for the meter because off-season, we're not going to be using any power. But PSE&G charges a rental fee for the meter.
Okay.
We tried one, you can take the meter out off-season, have a seasonal meter, but then they charge you like $200 to put it back in again.
Sure.
So it works out to be, cheaper to just pay the rental.
It's like turning
$30,
Cablevision.
$40 a month.
Yeah, in Florida.
As
You
far
know
as
the feeling.
the electricity cost is going to be, nominal. It's going to be the cost of plugging in a laptop and, so it's only going to be $20, $30 a month. We're not talking hundreds and hundreds of dollars. So I had told Ray to try to estimate around $100 a month, I feel, for average for the year for both the cable and for the electric.
And I think the residents will be happy to have Wi-Fi at the beach.
And it's very nice, yeah, it's
Be
handy to
nice.
have. I know they like it at East Creek and at the beach. It works very well.
Yeah.
And basically, cable just ran a cable into the building, put a motor in, and we found it cheaper to just go on Amazon, and we bought for $100, we bought a
router?
Wi-Fi booster, and we went up on the roof and put a 20-foot pole on the top of the restroom building and plugged it in, so we don't have to pay the rental fee for that device. We're just paying for the cable to be there.
Right.
So I hope that answers your
Great.
questions. I don't know the exact number.
Yeah, I think that's a great added benefit to the beaches, yeah.
Absolutely.
I knew the electricity was not going to be significant. The Wi-Fi, I guess, is somewhere around $60 or $70 a month.
Okay.
We have it at East Creek. We have it in the budget for that. I'll sit with Ray and talk about where we're getting the other 2. We'll have to find it for this year, and then just put it in 2022's budget.
Yeah, and Bill, you might want to speak to Dan, because he works with all our Wi-Fi, and he'll give us a better estimate on it.
Yeah, we have a contract that he worked out that we have a certain rate, and Chip was just saying it depends on how fast the speed is, and that's the cost. So we have to figure out what the speed would be and how much money we need.
And Dan has done a marvelous job getting us great rates. He really negotiates them, and he gets us very low rates. So, yeah, make sure that you touch base with him.
And
Okay, if I could just add, that came up, the speed, they have a whole range of speeds, and we only require the minimum. It's just going to be the very basic, I think it's 250 gig.
Okay.
There's 500, it goes all the way up from there. So this is the basic service that they provide. I already spoke to Chip about that, what's necessary, and he said, the minimum gig, just to get on the internet. We're not doing video transmission or anything.
But
Is that
are
gonna
residents going to be able to
increase
use it?
beachgoers?
Yes.
Is that going to increase beachgoers?
I'm sorry? Oh, it might.
It might
I don't
increase
know.
beachgoers.
Hopefully
Let's
they're
go
there
hang
for
out
the,
and work at the beach.
hopefully they're there for the fresh air.
Yeah.
To answer your question, yes, well, we basically advertise what the password is. If you go to South Jamesport Beach and you go on your cell phone and you go to settings and you go to your Wi-Fi, it's going to come up South Jamesport Beach, and there's, I think the password is like SJB123 or something. I'm not sure.
But the minimum speed may frustrate the residents.
I know we have the
$2
minimum.
more.
We have the
$2
minimum.
more, we might want to.
Yeah, at South
Make sure we-
Jamesport, we mainly put it in South Jamesport for the marina. And I think the marina might even be paying the cable bill, I'm not sure.
Right.
But they were requesting it for the boats, and we put it in, and I do know from Melissa Peker, who has a boat there, that they're getting Netflix, and they're doing all the stuff that they wanted to do at the speed that we've given them, so they seem to be happy. Seems to work.
And if it's at no cost to them,
Yeah.
Well, it's built into their dockage fee
Right.
is how it was going to be, and it was minimal. When you spread it out over the cost of the number of slips you have, it was chump change.
Significant.
And yet they could put ring phones on the boat for security purposes, and that was really what it was about.
Yeah, $2.
Yeah.
They could build virtual sandcastles instead of actually getting out of the car and going on the beach.
I might as well stay here because I think the next item is the showmobile.
Yeah, but I
Yes.
have one more question about the last project.
Sure, sorry.
Just because Jeff and Ray and Bill are all here, just want to make sure that we are replenishing those park and rec fees. I know that we have money coming in, we'll eventually have money come in from the apartment building on Main Street. And then I was watching planning, and I thought there were some subdivisions that they're talking about. Jeff, can you just talk a minute about? But do we have some park and rec fees coming in?
Just for 331 this year.
Okay. We should have been getting park and rec fees on all those buildings. All right, thank you.
Okay, so moving forward, engineering, again, 2021 showmobile rates.
Right, we just wanted to bring to your attention, Drew had to be out today on some personal business, so he asked me to stand in. Shannon worked very hard on this, and she'll give you the details and the numbers, but the issue is, we charge $100 a day rental fee for the showmobile. The showmobile has never really been a winning venture financially. It's always cost us more to transport it and attend it and return it than, that we received, and that debate has been gone over numerous times at the town board level over the years, and always been decided that, to charge the actual cost would be not allowing it to be accessible to the not-for-profits. So the fee of $100 doesn't cover the exact costs of using the showmobile, and often it's overtime. It's usually weekends and holidays, so we're paying our people overtime. And with the snow and everything this year, we want to get to you early and let you know that with the overtime, and Shannon can give you the numbers from last year, with the overtime that we're spending on the snow, if we add in the showmobile, we just don't want you to be surprised at the end of the year if we run a little short. So now may be the time to think about the possibility of raising that fee. We're just putting it out there for you. And Shannon can tell you what some of the other surrounding communities are charging, and that'll give you something to think about.
Great,
And
okay,
did
Shannon?
you say it's 100 for the profit or the not-for-profit?
Only rent it to not-for-profits, and it's $100 fee for them.
Okay.
You guys all have the printout that I provided, right, with the cost that the other towns?
Yes.
Okay, good, I just want to make sure. So, yeah, on there, you can see we
Yeah, I
charge
don't have
$100.
We don't have it.
Oh, I have extra if you need some. Extra. So we're only charging the flat $100 fee per day. And other towns are way in excess of that. I mean, really, I just became concerned. I'm starting to get people who are interested and asking about reserving for this
Thank you.
year. And under the COVID restrictions and, the orders not to try and spend too much money or do overtime, I wanted to get a directive from the board on, how we should proceed. If you want to authorize it for them or change the fees a little bit.
Well, you're saying that it costs us money to transport this.
Yes.
And often it's done on a weekend on overtime.
Yep, so on the bottom of the chart, I had just mocked up just a 6-hour event. It's generally costing the town about $968 for one 6-hour event.
Wow.
That fluctuates depending on which employees work the event, but I just went with a general, one supervisor, Municipal Garage has to have an employee bring the unit to the event. They generally have to get it there a few hours before so that they're not putting it in place while people are starting to come. And then Buildings and Grounds has to man it for the whole time that it's there.
Have they always done that, Shannon? So one person brings it there, and then one of the people stay with it, and it's always been like that?
Yeah, it's always been like that. Municipal Garage has the tow trucks and things like that, so they have to move it. And then Buildings and Grounds has always manned it. It's 2 people because, liability, someone has to be watching, it constantly has to have 2 people.
There's electrical issues, there's things that they need
Yeah.
to help with the microphone and stuff like that. They're busy when they're there.
Yes.
Because I did have someone who's a nonprofit, I think you knew that's been
Yeah.
reaching out to me and reached out to me late last night, because I guess they looked at information that was on here, and they were asking about the 2 people, but if that's the standard way that it's always happened.
Yeah, for safety and being able to cover everything, it really needs to be 2 people.
And a supervisor here, correct?
Yeah, that's, generally it's, one higher up supervisor type person goes and then, someone else with them so that they can, divvy up the responsibilities of making sure everything's running smoothly.
I would think that that's a union mandate anyway, right?
That's interesting.
I'm not sure if it is in the union or not, but when it comes to electrical safety,
Yeah.
they have to set this thing up. They bring it there, it has hydraulics to lift the door, they hook up the sound system and everything, so they're there early and usually before other people there, and God forbid something happened with the lift of the door or somebody got a shock. We just found, like with most electrical work, we always send out 2 guys just in case somebody gets incapacitated, there's somebody there to back them up. And we did have issues over the years with vandalism, if they're not really keeping a close eye on it, and there's a party going on or something,
Right.
people can vandalize it, people can mess with the controls, so you really can't leave it unattended. If somebody pushed the wrong button and that door came down or something, the liability is just too significant. So we keep people, 1 right at the unit, and then 1 usually with the sound equipment and the electrical.
How old is that unit?
We were just talking about that.
Looks pretty old.
Yeah, it was
I remember
purchased,
buying it.
purchased in 2000.
Okay.
$77,000, yeah. Before that, we had one that the county had donated to the town.
Right.
And that ended up, they were done with it when they donated it to us, and we used it for like 10 years. And it is a nice thing to have. It used to be available to the for-profits too, but the whole issue with the cost came up, and it was just out like every single weekend.
Right.
People were fighting to get it, and it just, the decision was made to just make it for-profit, to make it last longer.
So you're saying the cost,
Nonprofit.
the cost is actually $968 is what the actual cost is?
Well, that
We're charging
was
100, but it's actually costing us.
Yep, so on a 6-hour event, and like I said, it could fluctuate a little bit depending on which employees go, but for a 6-hour event, it's, $968.
Okay. Yeah, that's clear, that's here. And so 968 minus the 100, so the town on each event is paying out approximately $868.
Yeah, some events last 8-9 hours. I just did that to get a baseline.
Okay,
Yeah.
so this is like an average,
Yeah,
okay.
You might even want, if you look at the table that Shannon put together, you'll see that the Suffolk County charges, actually at Southampton too, they charge a flat rate and then they charge an hourly. Because it seems like if somebody gets it for half a day for $100 a day, and then someone gets it for 8 hours for $100 a day, that doesn't seem right. So maybe do a flat fee and then, for 4 hours and then a certain amount above that. But you can see from looking at the table from the other municipalities, we're on the low side.
Very low.
Yeah. So
Extremely
I
low.
understand that, we want to support the not-for-profits, but it might be time to think about bumping that a little bit.
Yeah, maybe just cover our costs. Right.
At least, but this Suffolk County rate seems, because it's 4 hours and you can increase. So it's on a sliding scale.
Yeah, if they
Something
send,
to look at.
for a not-for-profit, if they're having an event, a concert or something at the Showmobile, and you look at the Suffolk County rate, it might turn out to be $1,000 for the day. I would think in a fundraiser, the amount of money they're raising,
Sure.
$1,000 isn't, it probably isn't the majority of what they're raising, I wouldn't think.
So what is Brookhaven for not-profit?
Brookhaven's a little bit different. They charge, it's part of their Parks and Rec program, and they
Right.
charge a $50 permit fee for a resident. I think they let anybody borrow it, and they charge a $125 permit fee for a non-resident. And then they actually figure out the cost of which employees are going, and they charge them that cost. And that's how you pay there.
So they're covering their costs.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know, this person sent me the application, I don't know if it's the current one or, but it says 100 not-profit for 4 hours and then 25 for each additional hour.
Oh, the actual application? We spoke to the employees over at Brookhaven, and this was
Right.
the information they gave us.
Maybe the app, maybe they haven't updated their application.
Maybe.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I think we should be, coming closer to covering our costs. That's a pretty big difference.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I felt I would at least bring it to you guys, because like I said, with the COVID financial crisis and all that, I'm starting to get inquiries, and I wasn't sure if we should be sending people out for overtime without speaking to you guys
And
first.
Shannon, is it possible you could just give us a little write-up on projected costs, on what you feel would be appropriate?
Sure,
I mean, you have the information here, just put it together and pass it on to the board.
sure.
Yeah, give us a rough idea of what
Yeah.
you think it should be, and then we'll
Yes.
discuss it. And
Yeah, you can email it to us, and we can all decide if we're gonna go forward, and then we can put it through on a resolution.
Okay, sounds good.
Great, thank you.
I like
Thank
the
you,
idea
Ken.
of breaking it down, like with just, maybe 4 hours, but then
Yes,
additional hour fees, generator fees, things like that, because some may not need, it might just be, certain events may only be an hour or two long. So,
Yeah, maybe if we did a 4-hour thing, we might be more likely to have people that would stay a shorter amount of time, and it would be less time that we had to have our workers there.
and you might wanna bear in mind that there's a cost of transporting, right? The employees coming in, gassing it up, working on it, cleaning it, so you might wanna include those costs in that, the maintenance, the to and from.
Yep. All right,
Okay,
we'll work
great.
that up.
Ken, thank you, and Shannon, thank you. Have a good day.
You too.
Perfect. It's good to be talking about the beach, huh?
Yeah,
Warm weather will be here very soon.
except the
Thank you,
picture
everyone.
doesn't look warm.
Yeah,
So you
I
go
saw
by a window.
some other beach pictures on them, and they look really beautiful. So that's great. All right, thank you, everyone, and this concludes our discussion for today. Next, we'll move on to resolutions. Devin, can you please come up and read the resolutions for today?
She's already here.
I'm here, I'm ready. You guys need a second to pull them up?
Got it.
Got 'em.
I looked at them all.
It's a
Okay.
very short one
Didn't
today.
take long.
Yep, it's a short list today. So resolution number 1 extends bid nunc-pro-tunc for printing of the recreation brochure. Number 2 extends bid nunc-pro-tunc for fertilizer and lawn conditioning. Number 3 authorizes senior services to utilize New York State Office of General Service contract number Ps 67902 regarding Language Line Services, Inc. for language interpretation services. Number 4, Reeves Beach Facilities Improvement Project number 71902 closure. Number 4, amends Resolution 2020-610, which authorized the settlement of claimed travelers ASO Simon. Number 6, appoints a Fire Marshal 1. Number 7, awards bid for annual HVAC service contract. Number 8, ratifies the 2021 salary of a part-time homemaker. Number 9, authorizes Lawrence M. Levy, DBA On-Site Productions, to provide additional cablecast production services nunc-pro-tunc regarding the Town of Riverhead State of the Town address at Riverhead Town Hall on February 8th, 2021, and contractual payment for services rendered. Number 10, authorizes a public hearing regarding presentation of a proposed plan by the Riverhead Law Enforcement Advisory Panel, LEAP, pursuant to New York State Governor Andrew M. Cuomo's Executive Order Number 203, entitled New York State Police Reform and Reinvention Collaborative. Number 11, appoints member to Board of Assessment Review.
What is the LEAP thing?
The Riverhead
Yeah, I
advisory.
know what it is, but what's the resolution about?
It's the required public hearing. It's kind of the
okay.
next step in the
Got it.
process, which is scheduled for March 16th at
Perfect, thank
2:10.
you.
That's it, Supervisor.
Great, thank you, Devin. All right, anyone else have to add anything? We're good? We're going to move into executive session. In a moment, I'll ask you to make a motion to go into executive session on 2 personnel matters surrounding the change of status of an employee and matters surrounding the hiring of an employee. Can I have a first and a second to go into executive session, please?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? So move, and everyone, please be safe.